Hello everyone, welcome to this transfer of information for iOS CX 10.7. The topic is VSX Update Software API. I'm Vincent Giles, I'm part of the Aruba Switching Technical Marketing Engineering team, and here's the agenda that we have for this session. So we'll go over a quick overview with a reminder of VSX Update Software command, use cases for the API, some obviously details and caveats, configuration, how to exercise this API, best practices in the order of API calls, troubleshooting, how you monitor those calls, and obviously demonstration. The reminder of the VSX update software, so reminder that this command is triggered on the VSX primary, that if you specify the remote URL that will download, for instance, from a TFTP server, the firmware that will be downloaded in parallel on the VSX primary and secondary. After the download and verification of that firmware, there will be a sequence reboot of first the secondary and then the primary after the secondary has been rebooted and upgraded. So this is very well orchestrated, and we use a combination of graceful shutdown for dynamic protocols to make that very smooth for network operation, and there is almost no interruption, and that is being proved in the resource demonstration and video that you have at the end. So that process can be aborted anytime with Control-C during the download of the firmware. Next, we added in a later release the boot bank capability for software update command with a pre-stage downloaded image on the flash. So that is very practical for network operator to decouple the pre-staging of that firmware from the upgrade process itself. So it allows us to have already pre-staged the firmware. So that's one step less to perform during an upgrade process that is typically a negotiated time window for operation that we want as minimum as possible. So having the firmware already preloaded is good. Then, as a reminder, this is the orchestrated process. Step 0 is the nominal situation with the old firmware running on both primary and secondary. Then we kick off the upgrade process, the update software command for VSX on the primary. It's downloading the firmware, then the secondary is rebooting. Primary is taking over for the traffic for all the ports that are part of the VSX lag, so the AMC lag, and then you have the status of the upgrade process on the right side. So this is the CLI view on the primary. Step 2 is the secondary is restored in the VSX cluster with the new firmware. So primary running old version, secondary running the new version. Then step 3 is primary is rebooting while the secondary is able to handle all the traffic, so has been fully restored for the control plane and the data plane. And finally, step 4, the primary is joining back the cluster after the reboot with the new version. So the enhancement that we did in 10.7 is the ability to trigger that update software through an API call. So this feature is just about launching that update software with REST API. So this API will be used later on by Central to provide such a live upgrade capability. And other tools may benefit from that, like customer homemade automation tools that is written that are written with Ansible or Python. This is an enhancement of the existing VSX API, so this is not new. We used to have a VSX API where you can configure and read configuration for VSX, and we add some lines for that API. There is a future release for Central that will support that VSX API. As of now, this is not yet available. The use cases. So we have VSX Live Upgrade. Obviously, this is something that we want to keep and using with a traffic impact less than 20 milliseconds on the latest video that is available here. Before 10.7, that was only possible through CLI, and now since 10.7, this is also possible with REST API. Everything that has been documented before through deep dive or regular documentation is valid. So all the graceful shutdown process that is happening for protocols, the sequence orchestration, the high availability that is the outcome of that VS6 update, everything is the same than through the CLI. It's just the difference is just how you trigger the upgrade. So the integration of the live upgrade operation into network management tool with the API is really something that we want to promote, and thanks to 10.7 this is now possible. Let's go to the details. So the API method that we are using and the version. So first of all, the version, both are supported. So the version 1, the native first version of API is supported, as well as the new version 10.04. So I decided to use 10.04 version for the demonstration, because all the REST training for the API are on 10.4, so that's why I use 10.4, and you have a complete TOI in 10.4 for those API differences, if this is something useful for you. The method that we use is a put. A patch method is not yet available, so that will be an improvement typically for that upgrade, because we are going to perform a get and then a put, and it would be better to perform a patch in order to just change what needs to be changed. So the consequence is that first of all you have to perform a get to extract the parameters that are mandatory to be set in the put. So this is a bit of work to be done before, but that you will see this is not so complex. So just one point, you really need to do that get in order to include the mandatory VS6 parameter. If you do not include those parameters, you will lose a part of the VS6 configuration. So this is important to make sure that everything that is already configured in VS6 is kept in the put in order to not replace or remove any parameters. This is the difference between 10.6 and 10.7 for this API. So as you can see here, so this is an extract of Swagger, copy paste from Swagger, and you see that now we've got new entries. So this is a small, but I have a slide with a more visible field. This one, you have a software update abort request. So this is the first entry that you have as a new field in that API call. So this is an integer that you will set in order to request the upgrade to be aborted. So there will be a demonstration on that one. So that is not a false or true binary value. This is an integer, as you can have multiple times a request to abort if you had multiple tentatives to upgrade. Pay attention that software update schedule time, although that would be very nice to have, is not yet available and supported in 10.7. You have the software update URL field. So this is a string where you have two solutions, either the pre-stage software upgrade, as I mentioned, this is the boot bank, which is recommended for network operation, or you've got the remote download with the TFTP URL. So that would be typically the example of the value would be TFTP colon and then the URL for the new version. And then if you download from TFTP, you need to indicate the VRF you are downloading from. So this is the software update VRF URL. The supported platforms, obviously only the VS6 platform, 6400, 8320, 25, 8360, and 8400. all of them. Let's go to the configuration of the API. So this is from Swagger. On Swagger on the VS6 API, you will have the ability to perform that get that I was talking before. So that get is mandatory. And for that, you can minimize the information you want to extract by using the selector. On the selector, there is two choices that you can make. The configuration, so that's user configuration attributes. So this is the one that that would be the more intuitive. But then as a best practice of 10.4, and you have a description here of the difference between configuration and writable. So I'm not going to read that. You have the slide so you can get through that. And this is also something available in the TOI for 10.4 REST API. So it is recommended to use the writable selector field here. So you will select writable and you execute, and you will get those information in the response body. So in Swagger, you can copy or download it. And then this is about what I extracted here on a particular demonstration system. You get those information. Not everything is mandatory to be set in the put, because probably some aspects are default timers, for instance. ISL timer, keep alive timer, these are usually a default that you use. So for that, here, as the ISL timer, the keep alive timer, the UDP port for keep alive, the split recovery on are the default value, I'm extracting the minimum config for the put. Obviously, if those timers would not be in the default, you would have to include them in the put. Okay, so this is the minimum value, and from that I'm going to configure it and tune it according to the method that I use. So this is again my minimum extract, and then preparing this API data, I will select either TFTP method, in which I will use the URL and then the VRF, or the boot bank. So typically here I'm using the boot bank, so that would be my final data set for the put. Then I will, in the demo, I use Swagger, but you can use curl or any Python script if you want. I'm going to fill those in that data set to the execute command of this Swagger. The equivalent curl command would be that one here with the structure, the JSON structure that you have here with the software update URL, for instance. For TFTP, you have the information here as well. So feel free to replace those values with TFTP server and accurate file. Let's move to the best practices. So here are listed is the example of steps that can be used for the VS6 Live upgrade through the API. So at first, we will pre-stage the firmware on primary and secondary. So by that, we do a logging at the first step, storing the cookie with username and password. Then we'll put the firmware. So that would be the image that we pre-stage, for instance, would be on the secondary flash area. And then you will replace obviously those variables with the HTTP repository server. Then you log out. After that pre-stage, anytime later, we can do the update software by logging, then getting the information of VS6 that are required in order to do the put. So we extract the JSON information. So here you say, I've got the selector being configuration, but remember that would be writable for 10.4. As a matter of fact, this specific URL and VS6 API call is the same for configuration and writable. So that's why I use configuration as well in this example. Then we will save the running configuration to the startup. So the write map should be done previous to any update. So that is not being done by the VS6 information put. You need to do that before. Contrary to the CLI version of that VS6 update that would do that for you. So there is that API to be done before triggering the update. And then we do the API put VS6 information with that command. And then you have the logout. To troubleshoot that, we have many commands. So the first is to have a monitor of the OVSDB for the VS6 part, and the table that we are going to monitor, for instance, is the update URL, the VRF, and the update status. So the update status being the one that is mainly interesting for us. You could also do a get, okay, and in the get for specific attributes that would be the update status, you'll get the information whether there is no upgrade pending, or if an update has been aborted and so on. So you get that information through the get, of course. And then you've got OVS appsctl command as well. You've got the var log messages that you can inspect, and the show event. Diving more a little bit to the OVSDB monitoring. So this is a raw command extract that is on the primary. So in order to get it a bit more visible, what I do, I extracted the software update status, and getting that a bit polished, you will get that information. So here you see that you have the reboot that is started, the primary that is waiting for the secondary, the reboot that has been completed. So this is all about the primary status that you see here. Then you have the primary that is starting the control plane shutdown. Everything for the protocols are getting shut down, a graceful shutdown here, up to so the PIM, OSPF, V2, V3, LACP, BGP, and so on, so that you have a control plane shutdown completed here. So that's the status. So all those information are quite good to troubleshoot if there is any problem with the sequencing. And then you have the reboot that is started, and then immediately after you will have a notification message that the VS6 software update is triggering the reboot here. We can also abort the request that is being done through API. So that would be another API call to ask for aborting the operation. Please take a note that you have to use a number for that. It's not false or true. This is a number, as there is it can happen that there is many times that request has been done and due to previous VS6 update that were triggered through REST. So you will have to make sure to reset the software update URL command and the software update VRF colon as well. So we set the software update abort request to a value that is non-zero and that is a higher value than the value previously used. So normally when the switch is rebooted and no update has been triggered, a non-zero value, so 1 should be enough. If you trigger an update, you use that abort, and then you trigger another update and you want to use a new abort API, that value must be 2, for instance, or higher than 1. The use case to interrupt the upgrade, I dive a little bit into that. You will interrupt the upgrade orchestration while you are doing a TFTP update method. For boot bank update method, the abort request, you can hardly send that request before the VS6 secondary actually reboots, trigger the graceful shutdown and reboot. So pay attention to that it can be useful for the TFTP method, but for the boot bank, it's useless. You cannot abort. And then I will go to the demo. So explaining a little bit the demo, we've got a pair of 8325 that are used in the data center. So in nominal situation, what I do, I pre-stage the new firmware here that's on the primary image where I've got that version BN and BL is running. That's the secondary image running as a software version on that switch. And then we will monitor the OVSDB parameter for VS6 through that command. So I'm going to do an API put on the VS6 primary with this dataset, and you will see on the primary that the started downloading images. That's because the image is already there. That's immediately followed up with a completed, and then the reboot is triggered for the secondary. And we'll do the same monitoring on the secondary so that you can see all the steps with all the status of the update for the secondary. So the secondary will graceful shut down all the protocols. It will take a while to complete the BGP shutdown. So those switches are running OSPF and BGP and LACP and PIM as well. And next would be as a step one, that this secondary is rebooting. So right after the graceful shutdown is completed, you have an update status that is reboot started and secondary is rebooting. Step 2, we'll have the primary. Once the secondary is back on the cluster, the primary will start as well the control plane shutdown. Exactly the same process. Step 3, we'll also monitor that the graceful shutdown is completed, and then the reboot is started. And then we end up with step 4, so where a primary is getting back on the cluster, and you can monitor the link-up delay, for instance, to check if everything is forwarding for the VS6 lag port. So that's about it for that demonstration, and then we'll go to a second demo for aborting the process. So let's jump to the demonstration. So I'm connected on the VS6 primary T325-1 through SSH, and I'm going to use the start shell in order to monitor the OVSDB table for VS6. And I'm going to use that command. I do a copy paste from that. And the same for the secondary. Okay, now I'm going to switch to the web UI. So I could do that through curl, but I think it's more visual to actually get into that through Swagger. So let's connect to UI version 10.04. And I will prepare the dataset for the API call. So for that, I go to the VS6, I do a get. I can click on try out. Then the selector, I'm going to select writable. I execute, and I will just copy this, and I can put that in this notepad, and I'm going to remove anything that is left as default. So the ISL timer, for instance, is everything default. So let's remove that part. The keep alive timer is also a default. The UDP port is also a default, so I'm going to remove that. I'm going to do an upgrade through the boot bank, and for that I don't need any VRF. And the boot bank that I'm going to to use is the primary. So I already pre-stage the firmware in the primary. So for that, I'm going to replace that with bootbank primary. And this is the minimum configuration. So as you can see, I will put the existing pre-configured information for VSX because if I don't do that, it will be removed from the config. So this is where really the patch API method would be better. So let's go to the put section, which is there. Try out. Let me minimize a little bit that so that on the primary you can immediately see what's going on. And I'm going to paste that into that section and I will execute. And now you see that reboot has already been started and triggered for the secondary. So the information through remote procedure call has been sent to the secondary to reboot. On the secondary, I can track now the progress on the update. So we have the control plane shutdown that has been initiated. You have now protocols that are gracefully shut down. So SPF v2, PIM, VRP, even if I don't use that one, but the protocol is getting down. And we'll have as well LSCP that is gracefully shut down. And after a while, so we have to wait a few seconds, you will see BGP as well. Now we have BGP that was gracefully shut down, and you have an update state reboot started because the control plane shutdown is completed in this information. So very soon we'll see an information that the switch is rebooting. This is it, reboot reason VSX software update. So we have to wait for the switch to reboot and join the cluster. So at this stage there is unless we want to keep that, this window will not be updated any longer because I'm out of the SSH session of the secondary. So I will focus now on the primary and to see what's going on the primary. So let's wait for the secondary to join the cluster. So the reboot of the secondary is completed. So I can reconnect on the secondary and do a show VSX status on that one. There is a version mismatch. The secondary is running BN version, whereas the primary is still running BL. So we should see very soon the graceful shutdown initiated for all the protocols before the completion of the control plane shutdown and then the reboot. So we have now the first part of the graceful shutdown for PIM, OSPF, VRP, LACP completed. We are waiting for BGP now. BGP process has been gracefully shut down, and then as a completion, we have a control plane shutdown completed, and next is the reboot that is started on the primary. So we should very soon see the primary rebooting, and that will be the end of the demonstration, and the primary will join the cluster, and we'll get both secondary and primary running the new image version. So that's it for the demonstration with the VSX API to do and start an update software. So that is what we call VSX Live Upgrade. So let's now jump to the second demonstration. The second demonstration is about aborting a VSX update software through the API. So I've got exactly the same start as the first demonstration, except that this time I'm going to use the update software through the URL, through the TFTP server, because this is it gives me enough time to trigger the abort while the software is getting downloaded. So let's move to the platform and monitor the OVSDB database with the VSX table and the software update status. And then we'll see that when I use that abort parameter in the API call, I will be able to abort the process. As a reminder, here in the slide, you see the CLI abort that you can do by pressing Ctrl+C, for instance, while doing the CLI update command. So let's move to the platform and start the monitoring. So first of all, here, just to see the completion of the VSX update that we did before, we migrate from the BL to BN on both. So let's move to start shell and then monitor the status. Okay, and now let me jump on the web UI. And as I already prepared and show you how to prepare the data set for the API, I'm going to directly copy paste in the put section what I already have prepared here. So I'm going to downgrade literally. Okay, and before executing, I'm going to prepare as well the other command, which is to abort. that command, I can show you the exact data set for that would be abort, update, and here I can use one, for instance. I'm going to copy paste this so that to be ready. Let's execute. So here I will kick off the update. You see, and there is a download started, and that should be the same on the secondary. Let's move back to this and copy paste the abort and execute. And now you can see that the download is started, and the abort will be proceeded right after the download is completed. So we'll monitor here the end of the download. And meanwhile we are waiting, I can also do a get here to see the status. You can see, for instance, at the end that I've got image download started, and can do again a get. Right, and you see software update not in progress. So here you see it has been aborted, and the same on secondary. Software update not in progress. So that is literally saying that the update is aborted. So that's the end of that demonstration.